subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Namaste, konnichiwa. Welcome to the Thenupurtewarishow.
Namaste.
And today also we have with us Ambassador Hirabayashi-san, and we are excited to know a lot more stories from him. So please tell us and give us all the knowledge, like really what happened the last time we ended. After that, we'd love to listen to from you all the stories.
Yes. Thank you very much. I talked in the last evening how India is expected or is qualified to become a superpower in 10 to 20 years' time.
Yes.
And I talked about the responsibility or the mission of a superpower, not for India alone, not for Japan-India relationship, but for the global community. There are two kinds of superpowers. Good superpowers and not so good superpowers. Frankly speaking, China is not viewed by many as a good superpower, if China is a superpower. Russia may be so. In the views of many, United States is a superpower, and United States is highly regarded by the majority of nations. I hope India would become a superpower like the United States, not like China, not like Russia, autocracy or dictatorship. And I have expressed my hope that India as a superpower would contribute to the peace and prosperity of Indo-Pacific region, stretching from East Asia down to Southeast Asia, then South Asia, and to the West Europe and Africa. Because India is located at the center of all these regions, just at the center of the Eurasian mass, faced with the three seas, Bengal Bay, Indian Ocean, and Arabian Sea. These seas are linked with the Pacific. We cannot divide. The waters can't be divided. They are all linked each other. Japan on the eastern side will perform our own mission responsibility. India is expected to do so in that part of great importance. Then I talked about some aspects of Japan-India relations.
Yes.
Which started during my time as ambassador of Japan to India. August 2000 was an epoch-making period where India and Japan started Japan-India Global Partnership.
Yes.
Global partnership means this partnership will perform some global responsibility, not limited to our bilateral relations. Then in 2007, this global partnership was upgraded to strategic and global partnership by Dr. Manmohan Singh, Indian PM, and Koizumi Junichiro, Japanese PM. When Mr. Modi came in, Abe Shinzo was there. So Mr. Modi and Abe agreed to further upgrade this relationship by
Special.
adding a special. So
Yes.
now, a three adjective partnership: special, strategic, and global partnership, which is a very rare commodity in the world.
True.
According to Mr. Modi, special means that our two nations are linked with spiritual bondage, religious and spiritual bondage, Hinduism and its younger brother, Buddhism. So this bilateral relations is really a rare commodity in the world. Now, today, this evening, I'd like to talk about how the India should be performing their efforts to become a superpower in the context of domestic policy, domestic economics. As of today, India is not a superpower
Yes.
yet.
Yet. Yes.
To be a superpower, India has to overcome some obstacles. The first, social reform.
Okay.
The number one reform is very difficult proposition. If not a complete solution, but the alleviating the plight of lower caste people. Improvement of the caste system. Of course, Indian constitution says this is anti-Indian constitution, unconstitutional. Still, in Indian society, especially in rural areas, the caste practice is still popular or rampant at the disadvantage of scheduled caste and tribe. Almost 1/3 of the population belongs to the so-called scheduled caste tribe and other unprivileged caste. They should not be left behind the progress of India. Number one. Of course, related to this, India is expected to alleviate poverty. Number two agenda is to level up education, especially basic education. Indians are well known of their intelligence. The top leaders of high-tech companies, even Harvard Business School and others, are occupied by Indian originated persons. So Indian intelligence is well known. You have invented the notion of zero and others. However, for the progress of the entire nation, the basic education is the must. Unluckily, 1/3 of the Indian population is yet to achieve the sufficient level of basic education, elementary school or middle school and others. Of course, higher education is very important. IIT, IIM are very important, but as the entire power of a nation should be deployed, then the majority of the people have to be intellectual, literate, and so on. The Indians are capable. They have the talent. Simply the system or the, how to say that, positive attitudes of the leaders are to be much more desired. So number two, education. Third, economic reform. Of course, India, the progress is remarkable. Much more rapid than Japan, much more rapid than most developed countries. Okay. However, India is still lagging behind the developed economies in terms of the deregulation. You have too many regulations.
Mhm.
The second, the privatization of state companies are desired.
Mhm.
Many Indian banks are state banks.
Yes.
The heavy industry companies are still state companies. Japan have the bitter experience of nationalized companies.
Okay.
Our national railway was state enterprise. Now they are divided into 6 private companies in 1986, I think.
JR, Japan Railway.
Since that privatization, everything has changed.
Okay.
No more strikes by the unions. No more. Almost every year, the style of our Shinkansen is being renovated. Comparing TGV, high-speed train of France,
Yes.
it's a state enterprise. I spent in France for many years.
Mhm.
I took many rides on the high-speed trains of France. Since the start, the style of French TGV has not changed so much. The style, almost the same,
Mhm.
almost the same. Half of the car, each car, half of the car, the seats are in this direction. The other half, the seats are located, just look at the back side.
Okay.
So if you are seated in that part of the seats, the train is going forward like this.
Okay. Okay.
And all of these are completely outdated. But because the system is state enterprise,
Mhm.
the labor unions are very strong.
In France.
Their pension system is one of the most privileged things, even better than the bureaucrats, the public servants. The state enterprise of railway, SNCF, it is called SNCF,
Mhm.
very privileged. Mr. The president of France, successive president, have wanted to reform, but every time they were encountered by the resistance. Even an inch of the reform of pension is yet to be improved, still continuing. So the progress of the TGV is hampered by this state enterprise mentality.
Okay. Okay.
The same was to our railway system through our telecommunication system. But now, even the telecommunication was privatized.
Hmm.
Tobacco company was privatized. Many privatized. Since that time, every privatized company has made efforts for their own profitability, for the better service and others. So I am completely confident if, for example, Indian railway
Hmm.
is to be privatized, their service, their quality will be improving. Japan for many decades have helped Indian Railways to improve their own system.
Exactly.
For
And
example,
I want to say one thing. Actually,
yes,
Japan, as you you have stayed there for 5 years, you know that India changing a system, it's not that easy. If you know
yes,
that recent
yes,
last year, so many protests because of the farmers' new bill,
yes,
government trying to bring, and before that, the CAA, NRC, government try to implement, but the whole India who really don't want, those people are they are protesting. So things are really very difficult in India. Anything, any change you want to bring, people are protesting like, they just making process slower.
yes, of course. Every time a reform effort is to be made, it encounters the resistance
True.
from labor unions, from politicians, from bureaucrats. In the case of the farmers, they resist. They are against Mr. Modi's agriculture reform. So
Yes.
always there is some resistance. In Japan, for example, our post service was, how to say, a bastion, remaining bastion of state company mentality people. They are now improving, but not completely. There are some remnants of the ancient system. So in every country, it is the same. The will, the determination are very important in the leadership. Frankly speaking, Dr. Manmohan Singh did well, but he encountered many resistance. Mr. Modi is doing that in the same way, maybe with more positive stance, but he is encountering resistance. An opposition party, when a political party, when it is in power, it tends to do what they have to do for the nation. But when that political party is becoming in the opposition, everything they started to resist what
Exactly.
is performed by the governing party. This is a sort of common phenomenon in every country. In the United States, Republicans and Democrats are doing almost the same things. But for the nation building, that kind of useless or archaic way of thinking must be scrapped. So the economic reform, Mr. Modi did a good job. He reformed the goods and service tax. He integrated many taxes administered by the state governments into one single good and service tax.
Yes.
So many investors, Indians, foreigners, are now having much less obstacles to invest in whatever state or to transport one product produced in Haryana to Gujarat or to Maharashtra. They don't stop at the state borders. So this has to be pursued, economic reform. So I enumerated social reform,
Hmm.
educational reform,
Yes.
economic reform. Of course, political reform is very important. However, the politicians are the last category of people. who attack their own problems. In my country, to some extent, it is true. They don't give up their privileges. They don't give up their benefits coming from the current systems. So, however, the global trend is for deregulation, for globalization, for privatization, etc., except for China, except for North Korea. Even Russia, Vietnam, privatization is in progress. So except for a very few countries, those countries who are succeeding in economic progress, they have the common agenda. That is social and economic reform. Mr. Modi is trying to do that. So I hope that he will be having a success. Then India will overcome the biggest obstacle to become a superpower. Okay.
Yes, that's really great. And I'm sure that these things, the very constructive way you have already listed, just like, point wise, very Japanese way, I would say, like point one, point two, point three. Yeah. So these points, I think the government, whoever government, they should work for the country. And they should definitely, I would like to suggest everyone, the present government also, I hope that Mr. Modi also, he goes through your book and think also that
Yes.
really, we need to work on those things. So,
Let me make another argument.
okay.
Due from foreign investors to India, there are some states which are welcoming a foreign investment.
Yes.
There are others which are not so much enthusiastic. I place the in Delhi capital region, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh in high esteem. Their leaders, knowing the importance of foreign investment, they have introduced many incentives, including special investment zones reserved for foreign investors, tax exemptions, and others. So I call these regions the arc of India, pro-investment arc of India. Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. You are making the arc. The other part of India, the progress is much less. But I would tell you one good story. When I was ambassador there, nor Japanese government, nor the World Bank extended ODA loan to Bihar.
Okay.
Bihar was governed by notorious political leaders.
Yeah.
For example, Lalu Prasad Yadav and others.
Yes.
I talked with World Bank representatives. World Bank was reluctant to give money to the state of Bihar. But since several years, Mr. Nitish Kumar is chief minister. When I was there, he was minister of railway,
Yes.
minister of tourism, etc. He is a very important figure. Since he became the chief minister, the image of Bihar changed. Of course, Bihar is located in one of the most important places in India, historically, geographically, from the viewpoint of resources, huge capacity. Now Bihar is a promising state,
True.
followed by West Bengal. Mrs. Mamata Banerjee is dragging some archaic thinking over there. However, I find Amit Mitra, Minister of Commerce, Minister of Finance and others, he is occupying several portfolios. He was, when I was there, Secretary General of the FICCI in India, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce. And he is now a minister of West Bengal. I met him 3 years back. What the West Bengal is doing is totally different from what I knew the West Bengal. Tata industry, they wanted to invest in West Bengal to create the factory of nano.
Yes.
But Tata was opposed by the West Bengal government, farmers. Then Mr. Modi, as chief minister of Gujarat, he offered state, land immediately to Tata. In 1 year, Tata started a nano factory. So this anecdote shows to foreign countries which state is better for foreign investment, which state is to be avoided.
Mhm.
But the India is now changing in its entirety. So I hope that this arch,
Mhm.
this industrial arch, will be extending to east,
Mhm.
even to the northeast.
Mhm.
So it is my hope. However, what I'd like to stress is the importance of state leaders to change their mindset.
Exactly. Actually, since you know the Indian politics and what is happening in India, you know that we had election in West Bengal, and Miss Mamata Banerjee again
Yes,
got elected.
right.
Yeah.
BJP was defeated.
Yes. So
Mamata Banerjee is very strong in West Bengal. It's not so bad for West Bengal, no? And Mr. Amit Mitra is there. He's guiding, let me see, he's guiding Mamata Banerjee, at least in economic matters, investment affairs. So I have confidence in West Bengal in the future. Calcutta is very important to India. But Calcutta is a gateway to northeast India, 7 states. And through 7 states to Myanmar and ASEAN. So Calcutta, if developed properly, will play much bigger role economically and politically.
mhm.
Calcutta would become a sort of capital of India, ASEAN combined continent. Kolkata is located in between the Indian subcontinent and ASEAN region. So if everything is moving in that direction, Kolkata's role would become very important. Japan, who know Kolkata since many, centuries.
Yes.
We hope that Calcutta will make a huge progress. And by cooperating with the Indian government for constructing what we call connectivity lines between Indian mainland and northeast region,
Mhm.
we hope Japan will be able to do our responsibility for the
Exactly.
development of Northeast region and the stability of Myanmar.
True. So here I would like to say one thing. I don't know. I don't think you know it. That 1902, Swami Vivekanand, our Swami
Yes,
Vivekanand came to Japan, and
right.
he wrote and he suggested every Indian at that time, and beginning of 1902, he suggested every Indian to visit Japan that time.
Yes.
And he definitely was from Kolkata, from Bengal.
And the poet Rabindranath Tagore
Rabindranath Tagore.
followed his advice.
Exactly.
He
Yes.
came to all in all 5 times in Japan.
Yes.
Mr. Tagore, yes.
Yes. And he wrote many poems here in
Mhm.
Sankey Garden in
Right,
Yokohama.
right. Okay,
So,
good.
Ambassador Hirabayashi, would you like to say a few words or message, since we are talking about West Bengal, and West Bengal is economically, actually that much progress did not happen for many decades. So what would be your suggestion or advice to West Bengal?
West Bengal, follow the path of the Western states. Let's say Haryana, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, even to the south, Andhra Pradesh. Chandrababu Naidu used to be a leader. So, however, Mrs. Mamata Banerjee is a consummate politician. I think he knows he has no need of being given lessons, but she is hopefully paying more attention, not only to farmers, not only to vote base, farmers and others, but some more important aspects of the future responsibility, future capability of West Bengal. West Bengal, Bengalese are very intelligent people and long history of civilization and culture. So once decided, Mrs. Banerjee would make a huge change of the state. For the time being, no other person could replace her. When I was there was Mr. Bass of Communist Party
Yes.
for 25 years.
Yes.
Almost no role for Communist Party anymore there. BJP wants to play bigger role, but again, BJP is not a match of Mamata Banerjee. So the only hope of the people of West Bengal lies in Mrs. Banerjee. And if she decides so, Bangladesh would be very happy. Northeastern states would be very happy. And with that weight, I think that Mrs. Mamata Banerjee's political weight in the center would become much more important. So I would hope Mrs. Banerjee pay a wider attention beyond the state borders of West Bengal, beyond alignment with Odisha, alignment with the 7 states, alignment with Bihar, Nitish Kumar, etc. So then I think West Bengal would become a very, very important part of India. Not now.
Wonderful advice, actually, and I would love to send this video to Miss Banerjee, so actually she can watch it. That people are really
If you have some occasion, please send my best regards to Amit Mitra,
definitely,
Minister of Finance and Commerce, etc., of the West Bengal government.
definitely. So, Ambassador Hirabayashi, it was pleasure having you again on my show, and definitely we are looking forward to our third session where we'll be talking
Thank
about
you.
more things between India and Japan. So for
Yes.
today, thank you so much for making time and
You are welcome. Send
giving
my
us.
best regards to your students. Yes.
Definitely, would love to do that, and definitely viewers are very much delighted to know so many unknown stories, and that you closely watch Indian politics.
Of course.
Definitely. So for today, for viewers, I would like to say good night, and definitely Ambassador Hirabayashi-san will be with us again with the third episode. So thank you so much for today, everyone.
Thank you.
And
Namaste.
namaste, Oyasuminasai, and good night.
Oyasumi.
Subratri.
Thank you.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.